So thanks a lot first to organize the event, and thanks to let us compete. Okay, here we are. So I will try to do it short on my presentation to have a talk at the end on a topic that I'm really that is very important for me at the end of this short presentation. Okay, so Symrise Aqua. So we belong to a German company named Symrise. I don't know if you know that company. It's a large flavor company. It's around 5 billion euro business, 20% profitability, 12,000 people in the world, so quite large organization. So we work in different fields: taste, nutrition, and health, and what we call scent and care. And inside this big organization, we have a small business in aquaculture named Symrise Aqua. Okay, so we have a dedicated organization only working for aquaculture since 15 years. Our main business at the beginning were fish meal replacement. So the challenge here for us is really our core business for 15 years, I would say. So we work in taste, nutrition, and health. But the first thing we do is palatability enhancers in order to restore feed intake when you use novel ingredients or, let's say, vegetable proteins. That was the initial business model 15 years ago. So we have 3 plants dedicated to aqua business, one in Thailand where we process tuna viscera for shrimp feed. We have a plant in Duran in Ecuador where we process tuna viscera and shrimp heads. I'll come back to shrimp heads a little later. And we have a plant in Costa Rica where we process tilapia frames. So we are in business for some time. Today, we consider that we have around 2.5 million tons of feed that are produced every year with our ingredients. Our main business is shrimp, okay, Fanemai. After that, salmonids, mainly in Norway for grower feed, sorry. And then we have a smaller business in tilapia and in marine fish in the Mediterranean area with sea bass and sea bream, and a little also in South Korea, actually. So we work, let's say, with all major modern aquaculture species. Yeah. What is specific also is that we have our own testing centers. We call them performance measurement centers. So we are working on carnivorous species in particular in feed intake for like 15 years in Brest, working on sea bass. And since 2020, we have a structure in Thailand working on Asian sea bass, but also white shrimp. Okay. If you're interested in protocols, stuff like that, that's a good topic for us, in particular on shrimp, where I think there is a lot to share. Okay, so let's come to our krill meal replacement challenge and our proposal. So I think a lot of people have talked about that since the beginning of the conference. We are talking a lot about palatability, which is a very specific part of what krill is bringing to the feed. So feed is used mainly as a driver of feed intake, I say on top of course, omega-3 content. And as I introduced at the beginning, we have a dedicated organization to measure feed intake and palatability. Okay. So we have worked in the last 15 years on protocols. So we have very, very robust protocols. So I will say today that with all major feed players or major farmers, we don't talk about protocols. People take our results are given. They actually work with them to improve their own protocols on feed intake measurement, in particular in carnivorous fish. So we run a lot of trials with hydrolysate. I will speak about that a little later. But frankly speaking, one of the main drivers we found is clearly the amount of free amino acid. So if you have a good charge of free amino acid, you have a good level of feed intake. But we also work on a lot of different compounds, and we identified very specific compounds that are working in synergy with free amino acid, in order to reach very high level of feed intake. So there were a question, I think, about what is driving the feed intake in krill. So we've worked a lot on that, a lot, and today I think we have excellent product to do that overpass krill by far in terms of performance. So we have a specific range of product that we call extrapal, which is driving feed intake, in particular during stressing events. So I hope for the challenge that the conditions will not be perfect, that you will have a little stress for the fish. When the fish are stressed, I think palatants are working better, and we show better difference. So just for you to know, in terms of cost, we used to be at around $20-25 per metric ton of feed for a good palatant, and now we are working to decrease that and go below $15. And this is one of our main business today. Okay, no, yep, here we are. But the challenge, of course, is a long-term challenge, so it's not only about feed intake, it's also about nutrition. So we have to supply, of course, the good side on the nutritional part with highly digestible proteins. So what we have done is we took proteins, we hydrolyzed them. So we are also specialized in hydrolysate, like other people have talked about. So we control time, temperature, and we produce very stable profile that are replicable batch after batch. And we have different profile according to different targeted species in terms of needs. Okay. I don't want to go too much in details about that. If you're interested in result performance, you can come to see me. I'll be very happy to share. And we add what we call the booster, which is this special ingredient that reacts with the free amino acid to drive the feed intake and increase. Of course, peptide has a lot of effect. I think a lot of people talk about that, so I will not go too much in details. Sorry, I'm pressing the wrong button. In terms of performance, I don't think today the question is, can we outperform krill? I think we can. I think other players here can. I'm sure that you will have great results during the trials. But krill, it's not only a question of performance. A lot of people talk of LCA, carbon footprint, and cost. And I think that is the main question for us. And I think it's the main question for, in particular, the first one, which is linked to the second one, for everybody here in this room, or at least all ingredient suppliers. Today, there is nothing less emitting carbon than taking a big boat and going in the middle of the ocean and catching a large amount of fish. I was telling to Kevin that I was in Norway beginning of the year to source for herring. And they told me, look, we take a boat, we go in the middle of the ocean, we catch 2,000 tons of herring in 2 days, okay? And the carbon emission is less than 0.5 per kilo of live fish. So there's no way to compete against that, okay? So there is a way to compete, actually. I will come back to that a little later, why it's so difficult. But so the product that we put for the challenge is a chicken liver-based product, hydrolyzed with what we call the booster, because we couldn't use a marine origin product, okay? Because it was too complicated for the team to know if this was wild catch, not wild catch, or anything like that. But our core business, and I think one of the solutions that we have, and it's really scalable very quickly, it's actually to valorize Vanema shrimp head. Vanema is around 5 million ton production in the world. That's nearly 2 million tons of heads, okay? If you hydrolyze it in a spray dryer, you remove chitins, you can produce more than 300,000 tons of, let's say, 65% proteins or above. Hydrolyzed powder, 95% digestibility. Shrimp head is super cheap, okay? It's available in many countries. Today, nobody really valorizes that. It's a very concentrated standard industry. It's a real circular feeding concept. I mean, you take shrimp, you feed salmon, you can take salmon, you can feed shrimp, basically. Okay, so you can use byproduct for byproduct. And I know that wild catch is not maybe a good topic here, but I mean, there is places in the world where they are burying tens of thousands of tons of shrimp heads, okay? And I think there is really here an opportunity. It's not directly to my business, actually, okay? I think there is really an opportunity, much faster than anything, super low LCA, okay? crustacean performance. So it's a crustacean. Okay, I don't go in detail so much about which bioactive peptide you can get from which kind of raw material, but basically, if you use a crustacean, you get super good results in terms of gut health in particular. It's super low LCA. You go through the value, so we can be below 1, okay, for a powder, and it's super cheap. So I think there's really an opportunity here. I'd like to just to express that. But this was not my main point. I think here the main issue we have basically is fish meal LCA. We are talking of fish meal replacement, krill meal replacement, but from my experience in the last 5 years, all the big feed manufacturers don't care at all to replace fish meal or krill meal. They want to replace soybean concentrate. Soybean concentrate, I think it was Enifer Bio that showed something about, above 5 kilo of carbon emission per kilo. So you have 5 times more than fish meal. Okay. This is what we are fighting against at the moment. And this is not the price at $1,500, $2,000 per metric ton. It's below 1,000. And this is my big problem today. My problem is that I can get massive amount. Today we process around 1,000 tons of shrimp head per month. Okay. I can get much more than that. It's super cheap. I can do a product and I can sell it below $1,000. I can do that. And I can still do above 20% EBITDA. But I cannot pay back my factories. It's too cheap. The value here is too low. So you cannot invest. You cannot put a $10 million plant or $15 million plant. The payback going to be like more than 10 years, just due to the value there. Okay. So I will say that the biggest issue is the super low LCA of fish meal. And I think we have to find a way to solve that thing. So someone spoke about tax. I don't think tax can work. But when I look Brazilian soybean concentrates, the way they have calculated their carbon emission is taking in account the impact about the deforestation and the land use. And I think we have to do the same for the fish meal, basically. It's not my job, okay, but I would say that is, I think, very, very critical. And I will finish by one little thing is today, fish meal is 1 kilo CO2, yeah? I saw some project to say that actually fish meal is only fish for oil, and fish meal is a waste. So they are thinking, and waste is 0. It's not a byproduct, it's a waste. It's 0 emission, okay? So it's not 1, it's 0, okay? So I just want to say that here, for me, that is the big topic. If we manage to have a real number for the fish meal, we can get immediately, everybody here in the room get $500, $1,000 on top of their actual prices. Yeah. Thank you very much.